Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome. And thank you for joining us for the VWSC 60 minutes of Portimao. It's going to be an amazing evening. Joining me in the commentary booth from the JPB broadcasting team is William Dent. William, welcome.
Hello, how you doing today? So we had a bit of technical issues, but we are live now. We got about 2 minutes left in this practice session for everyone, and then we will be moving on to qualifying. We're here with the CMS VWSC, that is a mouthful today, the Virtual World Sports Car Championship. We have some multi-class coming out to you today from GT3 Pro and Am, along with the new 2023 Hypercar Series. So expect some good racing and some good overtakes here in this next hour of racing. We'll be having qualifying here soon for all the cars. So stay with us and we will get this track going. Introducing us to the track here, if we go ahead and pull up our track map, we currently have Autodromo International Algarve, and in the track map you can see we have 13 corners, a 4.59 kilometer length, and it was built in 2008. We have a very long straight coming to a very windy section. You're going to be going really fast to those first couple of corners, and we will hopefully be able to see some great overtakes coming into that section, making up a lot of time through sector number 2 and getting a really good exit out of sector 3 over there in turn 14 to set you up for the overtake in the front.
An interesting track here, I think, William, to take into account, of course. Main overtaking opportunities into turn 1, of course, Primera. It's, of course, that long run down from turn 15 all the way down to turn 1, which at the end, of course, goes downhill. So a tricky braking zone there as well. It's going to be interesting to see how, especially the hypercars, are going to deal with that. Then, of course, turn 5 is also a prime overtaking opportunity. And maybe turn 10 and 11, we'll see some different lines through there as well. A very interesting part of the track, that one. You can run a couple of different lines through there, which are all equally as quick. But for overtaking, maybe one or the other is going to be a little bit better. We're coming to the end of practice here. We're going to go in to a 20-minute qualifying session, if I'm correct here. Yes, a 20-minute qualifying session, which will set the grid for our 60-minute race. 10 minutes for the GTs, and then 10 minutes for the hypercars. So first, the GTs will go out, then the hypercars will start to set their lap time. You might ask yourself, well, which cars do we have out on track? We're starting with, of course, the GT, since their qualifying is starting right now. We have the Acura NSX Evo, which has 480 horsepower. Comes in at a weight of 1,070 kilograms. Just in terms of car, a very interesting car. Of course, Acura, we know it's the Honda from America, which we all know. Acura, of course, won the... they were mighty quick there as well, but that was in the hypercars. The other GT cars that we have is the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 as well, the Audi R8 LMS, the Bentley Continental, as we know, a very big car. Difficult to look past it, isn't it, Williams?
Absolutely. So here we are, qualifying and starting for the GT3 cars right now. Here they are coming out of the pit lanes and out of the garages. Get those tires nice and warm to get on that track. So if we go ahead and get into the... Oh, that's not... We go ahead and get on board to some of these vehicles. We are here with Brandon Grant out of the pit lane in the BMW, the yellow Champion Motorsports BMW. Actually, love that white stripe coming down the middle there, coming in through the fast upwards left-hander.
Well, like I already said, it's gonna be an incredible race here. What a track this is! A lot of undulation, a lot of up and down. Well, they call it the roller coaster of the motorsport tracks, and so, well, I think it does its name. At least some in, because, you know, of course, turn 10 and 11, you go down this hill. We're going to see it here. First, we go up a little bit, and then we go down. We drop down the hill, and then we go up to turn 10 and 11. A blind entry into turn 10, turning and braking at the same time, which is always very difficult, isn't it?
Absolutely, it can be a very difficult track. Extremely tricky on the brakes. Losing that rear end can be extremely detrimental to your lap, obviously. But we're going to go ahead and try and find someone on a lap here. Seeing someone coming down through the last corner. And here we go. We have Luciano Ichazo in the number... coming down the front stretch here into turn 1.
There we go, on board with the Bentley. As we said, a car difficult to look past. It's a very big car, one of the biggest cars in the field. And the 031 we're looking with at the moment. Lap times, what are we expecting here in terms of lap times, William?
I have not actually ran any laps on this track, but we'll start to see those lap times drop for sure as soon as you're going through. So probably expecting in these GT3 cars somewhere around the 140s-ish. 25 seconds for Sector 1 for Luciano. So if we go trackside with him, he is pushing around. Ooh, goes a little wide, and that's that rear end that I was talking about. He loses that rear end coming through the corner. That's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Well, those are mistakes that in qualifying you don't want to have. You want to be the quickest overall, of course. Put that car on pole position. To continue with the list of cars, we, of course, have the BMW M4 as well. That's also not a great turn 11 for him. He's going to bail out of this lap. He's going to set his lap up for another one. We have the Chevrolet Corvette C8, of course, also a great car. One of my personal favorites. The Ferrari 488 GT3, the Ford Mustang, the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2, the Lexus we have in here as well. We have the McLaren 720S, also a great car. And one of my personal favorites, the Mercedes-AMG GT3, the Nissan GT-R Nismo, which is, well, as a road car, my personal favorite, a great car to see go around this track, and the Porsche 911. A great list of cars, William. And which car do you think might favor this track the most?
The Porsche is going to be a good bet. The off-throttle oversteer is going to get you around these mid-speed corners quite quickly. And it's also going to save your front tires just a little bit. I would say that these mid-engine cars or these front-engine cars might struggle a little bit because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on those front tires.
Yeah, well, you know, coming up to about 5 minutes done in the qualifying session. At the moment, it's Neto at the top with a 140.788, and that is Luciano around with yellow flags down in Sector 2. I think that was coming through, well, I think turn 7 and 8 before you go uphill. And that's going to be his lap time done. A 140.74 clear of P2 at the moment, which is not bad for him. 1.5 seconds in front of Gutierrez in the 037. BMW's looking quick. The Bentley's looking just as quick, but here we are on board with the man at the moment in provisional pole position. No, we're not. A 147.788 is the target time. I thought for a second that was his last lap time. It's the target time that we are looking at. But Neto, a 140.788, not too bad. I think that, could we possibly see a 139?
139, that is not out of the realm of possibility, especially as this track starts warming up, start getting that rubber laid down. You can definitely see these LMGT3 cars get in some pace for sure. It looks like the AM is a pretty close run right now. Everyone within about a second in the top 6, with the Boosie, the number 083 car, being a little bit out, but look for a close race there. A little bit more of a spread in main LMGT3 class.
Well, LMGT3, like I said, led by Bardelli on a 143.292. The gap between the pros and the AMs. They're quite big between the two, as we've seen it. Once again, purple in sector 1. 9,000ths of a second is what he was improving in sector 1. That's not a lot, but it is purple for him. He's going to have to, I think, improve by a little bit more if he wants to keep that pole position at 140.7. The only one in the 40s at the moment is Eliseo Neto. He's very quick around this track in the Bentley. Like I said, maybe we can expect some 39s. It's going to be difficult here because we're at the moment on a 140.7. We're green through sector 2. We're coming into the last section now, rounding up the last 2 corners. Very tricky, this one. You have to wait so long before you can get on the power. And then this one, a very high-speed right-hander. Coming downhill, the car's going to understeer a little bit. We're once again purple in sector 2. Let's see what Eliseo is going to do across the line.
And Eliseo might have had some sort of error because as he was coming across that line, he is now in the pits. So looks like he might have reset his car. Maybe he didn't like that lap. But Brandon Grant going almost a 10th faster in sector 1 here, coming in to sector 2. Now he needs to find 3 more tenths and he can get in front of that 030 NATO in P1, and let's just see if we can get that done here.
Yeah, well, there seems to be some issues. We're in the wrong channel, William. You know, we have at the moment about 2 minutes left in the GT qualifying. I don't expect anyone with 2 minutes to go to drop below a 130 or a 140, excuse me. But could we see Brandon Jonte? The gap is 5/10 for him at the moment. He's purple in sector 1 and sector 2. Has about a 10th over Neto at the moment. Let's see what he's going to be able to do across the line. Line is quite far up this straight. There we go, across the line. Do we go up into P1? Do we go? Yes, we do, I think. No, we don't. 2 tenths. We lost in sector 3, and that leads to a 140.8 for Brandon John. About 87,000ths of a second off. That was a good lap there from Brandon. Seems to be GT qualifying. I don't know, William, in terms of regulations, I think they can finish the lap that they are on if they are GTs, but if they start a new lap after the 10-minute mark, that is not allowed. So if you get across the line, you have to reset back to pit lane, I think, once you come across the line after the 10-minute mark.
Well, at the current moment, you see Brandon Grant is trying to get some pace here, but it looks like he might get blocked by that car ahead of him, which is not going to be ideal for his lap. He is and he is just... It looks like he's just going to go ahead and send the car. He lost 2 tenths over there, and that was pretty much pole position that he lost right there getting in that traffic, which is super unfortunate. But it is part of racing, and it is part of multi-class racing at the end of the day. So if we pull up the banner to see the times here, we have Neto with a 140.77 taking pole position at the current moment for that. Gant not too far behind, just under a 10th, and then separated by a second. So it looks like we're going to be having a massive fight here for P1 and 2 in LMGT3. LMGT3 AM looks a bit closer in the top 6, and that is just going to be a dogfight. So now we should be getting the Hypercars out on track here soon.
Also, a Pro and an Anfield in the Hypercars. Going through the Hypercars, you can see it on screen. The Porsche 963, one of the cars. The Acura ARX 06 also on them. The BMW H Hybrid V8, of course, or M Hybrid V8, excuse me. All these cars we have seen at the 24 hours of the tournament. The Cadillac V, of course, involved in it as well. The Ferrari 488P is one of our Hypercars as well. The Glickenhaus SCG 007C, that's a mouthful, isn't it? The Peugeot 9X8. Also, a crazy looking car without that rear wing. I think the only hypercar without a rear wing, if I look at it really quickly. So that's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be a really fast car down the straights. The Porsche 963, like I said, and the Toyota GR010. So 7 different manufacturers here in the LMDH class. Usually towards the top of the LMDH class, it's quite close. We're used to seeing these cars fight, well, front to back, and we're expecting the same here in qualifying. And let's see where they can put them. We expect these times to be around the 1:30 mark, about 10 seconds quicker than the GT3s, at least close to it. Seven and a half minutes left here in qualifying. Like I said, both Pro and Am-field. That's a little bit of a slide for the Porsche. And that's not what you want to see. The 007 looking on board where, or we're looking with, where was it?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're working on a little bit of technical issues here, but we are back in qualifying for the race. Right now, you have De Bruyn in the number 19 Porsche 963 with a time of 129.863. On the chase is Tom Lane. Coming out of the pits right now, he is going to try and get that single thousandth that he needs to push up into that P1 position. Very tight field in the top 3 of Hypercar at the moment. You also have a decently tight field in Hypercar Am from Henrique and Garling, but is the track going to warm up? Now, my biggest question is, you know, Tom Lane did get ahead, so he is in the middle of a pack right now. So him being in the middle of the pack could be a little bit of a problem. I wonder if he's going to try and back off and get a little bit more space before going on that lap. The last thing he wants to do is get caught up behind everyone. Here we have our current pole sitter on a lap, 3/10 down on his lap. He will have time to get around and get another one, but that's not a great start for sure.
No, well, we see at the top of the LMDH Pro class, 1,000 of a second separates the Bruin from Lane. So in the Hypercar AM class, it's a little bit, the gap is a little bit bigger. About 3/10 is the gap there between Enrique and Garling. So the gap a little bit bigger there. Tom Lane now coming across the line for his flying lap. He's going to start a new flying lap.
We will stay with Tom Lane through this lap and see what he can get done. See if he can find that 1,000th to get that pole position in round 2 of... Oh, it goes a little bit wide there. I'm not exactly sure if that was track limits, but it was very close indeed. If we go back on the track side here he comes into the uphill left-hander. Really want to get a good exit coming up there so you can carry that speed all the way down into the next corner, braking as late as possible, keeping the minimum speed because every kilometer counts coming up these hills, getting on the throttle as early as possible. Coming into the sweeping left-hander, try and stay on the left because you have a blind right turn coming and into another uphill. Very tricky under braking for the, you don't want that rear end to get a bit squirrely.
Well, we see a new pole position lap. It is Mia Rose, excuse me, and she is at the pole position lap time on 1:28.838.
A full second faster than everybody else. That is quite a lap. We're still on board with Lane here to see if Lane can get it done.
Well, it
Here
doesn't
comes
seem
Lane
like
coming around the final corner right now onto the front straight. Can he get it done with his track? We don't have any current delta times.
Across the line, he needs a 1:28.837. Now he starts his flying lap. I think he had enough track somewhere in that lap. That's once again on the edge of track limits. He uses all the track available to him. Mia Rose at the moment in pole position with the Porsche 963 on a 1:28.837. It is Daniel Kirby, it says for me, in second. That is the man. In second for me on a 1:28.903. I don't know. Maybe my life timing is off, but
nope, everything is right. So looks like a lot of off tracks are plaguing people. Tom Lane is a 10th off his target right now, not able to actually push forward and find any more time. Wouter den de Bruin in the number 19 hypercar, he is in the pit lane. It looks like he has given up on his lap, so really the only person that is going to be of any sort of threat is Tom Lane, but it doesn't seem like he is going to have the pace to take P2 or P1. It looks like Mia Rose right now in the Porsche 963 is going to take pole position, and it looks like she might actually be able to get another lap here. So she is going for more time. She has crossed the line in time to finish her lap, so she might be able to... She has the pole position. It doesn't look like there's anybody else on another lap that can actually threaten her in the timing screens right now. So she is essentially on a parade lap, and we'll see if she can continue to keep that pole position. She goes with the fastest, a 10th faster in sector 1. She is already down to a 1:28.7. She is 22.71. That is 0.2 faster than anybody else on the track in sector 1 right now. We go on board with this Porsche. She comes down the hill, going to be cutting left. Keep it tight on this left side because you need to brake. The back end of the car goes light under braking. Make sure you don't lock up those rear tires. Get back on the throttle to get down the hill. She looks absolutely locked in at the current moment. Another 200ths, so she is up 1.2 tenths right now. At the moment, she is just looking for that little bit of extra run the car kind of on the inside, let the car come out wide, get on that throttle, and just hold the gas. Don't lose the car over the throttle. Carry as much speed as you can. Here she comes across the front straight, across the line. She is purple sector 1, purple sector 2. Purple sector 3 for a 128.696, a full second faster than anybody else in the field, and she does a little victory spin. Absolutely killing it in that lap. It looks like people will be fighting for P2 if she doesn't make any mistakes on that lap.
That is mighty quick, let me tell you, William. That is incredible. The lap time from Amir Rose. Improving on his last lap as well was George Angelides in P6, the number 60 HPD. The Acura ARX he's in. So it seems to be Porsche, BMW, then 2 Acuras, a Ferrari, 2 Acuras, then the first of the Cadillacs, then another BMW and Acura, and then we have a Porsche, BMW. Then the first Glickenhaus. So Glickenhaus all the way down the table. And here we have our qualifying results. Mir Rose in P1, Tom Lane in P2, Wouter de Bruin in P3, Jerry Chen in, I love that name, in P4, Cameron Barker in P5, George Angelides in P6, Ross Smith P7, Ben Borman in P8, Timon Sovic in P9, Brian Hall in P10. That's our top 10 on the starting grid. And that seems to be a pretty stacked top 10. Then 11, 12, 13, and 14 in the Pro Class. Norm Graaf in the Cadillac LMDH. Magnus Dahlgren in P12. 13, Alexander Schultz in P14, Adrian Rice in the 001 Cadillac. And Eric Moinet, I assume that is a French name.
Yes.
In P15.
All right, so here we go for our Hypercar AM class. 6 cars on the grid. We have our top 3 in Felipe, Cohen, and Wayne in the number 8, number 5, and number 38. The number 19, number 16, number 13 round out our bottom 3 in that class. Not a very big class, but look for them to be very competitive. We have 8 cars going into our GT3 Pro class. We have Alicio running a 140.78, actually killing it in his lap times there, and he is going to be closely followed by Brandon Grant and Johnny Gutierrez in the Mercedes AMG and the BMW M4 GT3. We have the number 31, 20, 67, 48, and 35 followed by, in a little bit of a spread in the backside. And then if we go down to our LMGT3 AM, we have a full grid in the GT3 AM, a little bit slower for sure than the GT3 Pro class, but a pretty tight grid in the mid-pack. It looks like you're going to see a big pull away from Craig and Steven in the beginning of the race, with a very tight race here in the middle. And it looks like we have 2 cars that failed to qualify, so they will be starting from the back.
Yeah, well, in total, we have 33 cars on track. Like you just saw, 10 cars in the LMGT3 AM class, 4 in the LMGT3 Pro class, the Hypercar AM class, 5 cars, and 14 cars. So the biggest grid in the Hypercar Pro class. That makes for a total of 33 drivers, if I'm correct.
Yes, quite a bit of 41 cars on the grid at the current moment. 41 total vehicles.
Didn't expect that.
No, quite a lot of vehicles. We have 41 cars going to be on track all at once, and we will see how that fares. The start is going to be a bit staggered, but we will have a wonderful session nonetheless. And honestly, we just hope that everyone stays on the track, stays in the session, and we can have a good race.
Well, we have a little bit of a warm-up now. 17 minutes in the warm-up. You know, it seems like there is a Porsche domination at the front of the field. Of course, Mir Rose in first, Tom Lane in second, both in Porsche 963. So it seems like Porsche almighty here in the LMDH class.
Absolutely. So while we wait for the race start, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our season standings. So if we pull up our season standings here, we have here we go, Portimao, 6 p.m. Let's get our season standings.
Drivers are currently also in the driver briefing, which means that no one is able to go out on track. That's why we're seeing no action. So the drivers are in the driver briefing, getting briefed by the stewards at the moment about what to do and what not to do. You know, some drivers, you know, maybe doing things that are not allowed in qualifying. I don't think that was the case. We saw no incidents in qualifying, I think, involving lap traffic or faster cars being blocked by cars that are on an out lap. All in all, I think a successful session and ready to go into the race. Still a 15-minute warm-up session for the drivers to just relax a little bit, get their heads into the race mode, and well, we'll see where we go from there.
Absolutely. Very soon we will be getting this race started. After this driver's briefing, right now everyone is just getting their brief on the start of the race. We have a slideshow going through showing you guys the current track map that we have, along with showcasing the current standings, so feel free to enjoy and read those while we wait. We currently also have our schedule here, so as we wait for this race to start, we will be going through those items right here.
Well, a 60-minute race coming up. A full hour. We expect the hypercars to make about one pit stop. The GTs, I don't think they're going to make it on one fuel tank as well. They have to pit as well, I think, William. So it seems like both cars are going to have to play a little bit of strategy here.
Absolutely, there's always going to be some strategy to be taken into consideration here, but how much we will see. Portimao is not known as a track that's really hard on the tires, so you might see a lot of strategy, but I don't know as much with the tires.
Right, we are back and we're still on the warm-up. 10 minutes left here. We should have resolved all the problems now. Rose is at the moment leading this warm-up session. Of course, without a lap set, everyone's still in the pit lane. The 001 Hypercar is out on track. After, well, we have some chats, and we have a chat from a winner last time round. Vinicius de Oliveira dos Santos. Good afternoon, guys. Let's support our Brazilian drivers, Elisio and Luis Lemos. Okay, you know, Brazilian drivers, or a Brazilian driver supporting his fellow Brazilian drivers. Always good to see, I have to say, in chat. Vinicius de Oliveira dos Santos also says, after the GTM win on Thursday, I'll be back for the races in Sebring. So Sebring, of course, the next track we go to for Vinicius de Oliveira dos Santos. A great track as well. At first, we have 60 minutes left here, or 60 minutes to go here at Portimao. Portimao, a different track to Sebring. A lot smoother road surface. So the cars are going to be having a better day here around Portimao. The drivers, however, a very physically demanding circuit, this one. As we see, we're getting a little sneak peek here of how it will be for the Hypercars to get through the traffic first time round. Looking with the number 66, that is Jerry Chen. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. He is in the Hypercar Pro class. We have yellow flags in Sector 2. Probably because a lot of cars are on a slower lap, trying to just find their way. All drivers now trying to get into race mode. Finding their race mentality, of course, going into the race with a different mentality than you are in qualifying. Not every lap has to be on the limit, does it, William? Ooh, that's a car off in Sector 1. That is after turn 1, going into turn 2 and 3. That's a car off into the gravel. I think that's the number 66 we were just looking with. Jerry Chen off into the gravel. It seems like there's a green LED board flickering behind that for a green flag. But I don't know if the marshals can see the fact that he's stranded in the gravel trap and not able to go anywhere. And they haven't put the yellow flag sign on yet. But it seems to be flickering green, which is not great to see. All drivers getting the permission to just go full out into that corner. Now they can go back to green flag in that sector. It is Chen back into the pit lane. Drivers have had their driver briefing. And in 6 minutes' time, we're going to go out on track to get this race underway. One minute 30. Oh, yeah, 1 minute 31.412 is the quickest lap time from Maya Rose. The quickest lap time overall set here today on the track. The best 50 laps, I have a sheet here on my right-hand side. Maya Rose set the quickest lap in, I think it was practice.
Set the quickest lap in practice and qualifying. She definitely seems to be the fastest driver on track in that new Hypercar class right now. Now, is that mostly to do with the car, or is that going to do with being a driver of skill? She is running the Porsche 963, which at the moment seems to be the quickest car on track, at least here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, coming back to those fastest laps, a 1:28.696 is the quickest lap here in this session in this server at the moment from what was warm up, qualifying, and practice. We are, however, now going to go into the starting grid. Hypercar fuel strategy should be 2-stop for most cars. Some can do 1 with a lot of work, fuel saving. And bummed I can't do or I can't make this race. Yeah, I would be too. This is a great track to race at, and Stefan Miller is the one we're looking with. Is at the moment in pit lane, not out on track yet. Of course, everyone is now going to try and make their way onto the track. We're going to have a formation lap as well to familiarize the drivers with the track and how the track feels at the moment. Of course, grip can vary from warm-up to the race. So, you know, a warm-up lap is not too bad of an idea. The drivers can kind of feel where the grip is on track. They can try and figure out where the most grip is. We saw it, I think, the most legendary moment that I remember from my short Formula One watching career was 2016 Verstappen at Interlagos, when he tried to find the best lines in the wet on Interlagos in his car. And that's what usually everyone does, also on out laps. Of course, you cannot go full out in warm-up laps or on a formation lap, but, you know, just to have a little bit more confidence, knowing what the grip is like and warming up the tires, warming up the brakes, just get all systems up to temperature, all systems up to where they need to be. It's always great to have a full formation lap.
Yeah, it's important to kind of start feeling out the track and seeing where the grip is. We're just waiting on everyone to get to the grid right now. Just waiting for everyone to kind of load up. A lot of cars still in the garage. Could be just loading into there. Looks like Barker. So we do have some of them getting onto the grid here. Just waiting for those cars to get locked onto the grid.
Well, like I said, Rose with the quickest lap time, 1:28.696. I don't expect that we'll see those lap times in the race. Maybe towards the end of the first stint. And tires, fuel. Would you take tires? Would you take fuel together? As far as I know, tires and fuel not done at the same time. So that means that
you have to definitely.
Tires. Excuse me. Sorry, William.
I was going to say we are currently going on the formation lap right now. Just want to let you know the formation lap was starting. So here Maya Rose comes in that Porsche. So as far as fuel and tires goes, we will see how they want to play it. These Michelin tires for these cars don't generally eat too much away, so for an hour-long race, fuel is probably going to be the only thing they grab. Tires shouldn't be detrimental, or even, especially on this track, it's just not something that you should need. Obviously, you want them on the car, but you shouldn't need new ones in the course of this race.
Yeah, as we can see on your left-hand side, 1 hour and 2 minutes. That is just to give everyone the chance to get on to a warm-up lap and to let the drivers decide when they want to go. We will have a full 60-minute race here. Here we see the Acura from the man in P5, Angelides.
This is a P1 for the AM class right here. Philip Henrique in the backside. Hopefully does not get slowed up from the other cars, but we'll see. And then if we go into if we go down into the LMGT3 of Eliseo Neto, that P1 right here,
usually you see these cars leave a little bit of a gap to the Hypercars. Of course, they want to get this underway as quickly as possible as well. So I think that gap will be left towards the end of this formation lap. 1 minute and 12 seconds left of this formation lap. We're coming up to the last section. We are in the last section now, dropping down the hill after turn 11. What are we expecting to see? I don't know. It's going to be a dive into the unknown. Number 909 from Maya Rose is going to start from the pole position. Ahead of Wouter de Bruin in second, Jerry Chen in third, fourth, Cameron Barker in fifth, George and Jalides. That is the top 5 in the Hypercar Pro class. They're lining up, all single file still. And we're coming to the green flag here, William.
Here we are. Here we are coming to the green flag. We are almost in the restart zone, and we will see Maya Rose go ahead and take this. And she is downshifting, getting into those lower gears, getting ready for the start. And she is almost on the throttle, taking it very slow into the orange zone. Is she going to be waiting for green lights? Or is she...
Just wait to the start line. I think there we
and
go.
Away we go.
Very late. Left it very late. Not to give anyone any slipstream. We're off. We're green, green, green. And it's Maya Rose leading the way ahead of Wouter Brown. Jerry Chen still in third. A good start for the Porsche. And, well, the BMW hot on her tails. Looking to try and make that overtake early. Of course, hybrid and everything. All these cars work differently. One thing they have in common, they're all hybrid cars. HBD, the Acura ARX6 from Angelides in P5, still behind Jerry Chen now, who's dropped down into P4. Cameron Barker has gone up into P3 in the BMW. So it's Porsche, BMW, Porsche, Acura. 4 Acuras in a row now. Smith also in one, Henrique in one, and Subic in one. So Henrique, the leader of the Hypercar AM class, also in the Acura. It's the Acura maybe the more easier car to drive here, seeing that they're in first and second in the AM class.
Here we are with the LMGT3 Pro class, where they are absolutely on each other's bumpers coming into this race. As you can see, they are just less than a second from each car right now, just making no moves, but just absolutely on top of each other coming through.
They've also had their started still in that class. Neto in the lead on this for the number 031.
And here's an overtake.
There we go. Jerry Chen not having the pace in the early stages, it seems like. Acura just blasting past there. The Porsche from Jerry Chen dropping down the order very quickly. And that just is a testament to how quick that Maya Rose is in the Porsche. It's now Porsche, BMW, Acura. So the Porsche from Jerry dropping down the order really quickly. Is that an issue maybe with the hybrid system that was depleting maybe too much in the formation lap? Could that be the case? We never know.
I don't know. Chen is definitely losing a lot of pace out of nowhere. Not exactly sure why, but he just had... That car is going nowhere right now. Could be a way he has something set up, or... But right now, that car is just absolutely dying. And we will hopefully, hopefully he'll get that back together. And if we go down to the number 19 of
De Bruin, I think that is. Wouter de Bruin, number 19 Hypercar. Right, that is down in P2. Oh, there we go. This is 019.
Yep, a little fight here coming down the front, straight half a second off. Coming into the next car, we have Hutchinson right here and Barry behind him. Let's see if he can make a move coming down this front straight away in that BMW M Hybrid V8.
Going on board. Here we go on the nose from Barry.
He's in the slipstream. Is he going to go to the inside?
He is. There we go. Down the inside. Big launch.
No, he
and that's
runs
way too deep into turn 1. He was never going to make that.
And he's
Braking
going
way
to
too
end up losing a
late.
position because of that. Oh, is he going to be able to hold on? And then he gets stabbed. He's still alive coming out of that corner somehow. Oh, that was not the way that you wanted that to happen. If we go on to board with Smith here, Smith pushing up about half a second behind Angel Dines in the number 60 car. It looks like they are running into a little bit of traffic so far, but not too crazy.
Well, the GT traffic is going to come into play in just a little moment's time. Still, I think two to three laps to go until we catch up to the backhand of the LMGT3 field. In the LMGT3 AM class is Miller leading the way from Polo number Delhi in third. The top two there already have a little bit of a gap. Here we are on board with the LMGT3 second place, Brandon Johns. Where is he going to be able to put his car? Doesn't seem to be able to keep up with the pace that Eliseo Neto has at the front of the field. 030 Bentley Continental GT3. That's a beautiful livery. That's pink and black livery. I like it. Here we go down to Brandon John. It looks like the BMW just a little bit slower. Last lap time for Brandon John, well, was a 146.4. 146.4 as well for Eliseo Neto. So not too different there. About 700ths of a second in it. But nothing too big there for these drivers. Greg Pullen, the man in second place in the GT or in the LMGT3 AM class. Also a BMW and a McLaren out in front. Love to see that. That's a beautiful looking car. Always an aggressive looking car, that McLaren, isn't it? It's one of my favorite looking cars. Stefan Miller. The gap is about 6-7 tenths of a second. That should be enough for Williams to hold him back coming down the front stretch.
As we will see if that slipstream is powerful. He's actually pulled quite a bit close. It looks like Stephen Miller had a very poor exit, and I think he's not going to fight this very much. I think Craig is just going to go ahead and take this position. Thank you, sir.
Oh, he is going to fight it.
He's going to fight a little bit. Is that a mistake for him to try and fight? No, he backs out of it. Probably going to be the smarter move. If you start fighting, you're really going to be bringing those cars in from behind, and the last thing you want to do is have that lead pack. These two should not be fighting right now. They really need to just take it easy and start getting away from that pack. As you can see, the delta from Brandon McVeigh in the number 91 is just closing in now. He was 2.5 seconds when he was coming down the straight, and now he's been pulled into this fight because they are getting a little bit greedy in the GT3 AM.
Well, there we go. Yellow in sector 1 for some reason. There we see the BMWs coming through. 2 laps have passed. We're into the GT traffic. And what is there someone up in sector 1? Once again, there's a yellow there. So yellow 1 seems to, or sector 1 seems to be a difficult point now for these cars to overtake. Here we see Simon Civic trying to cut his way through the traffic. He's in the Honda Acura, the ARX 06. The Acura's pretty quick here, working their way up the order in race trim. Ross Smith is ahead of him in P5. Who's the better man? Who's the better driver through the traffic? Who's quicker through the traffic? Looking at the battle here between P2 and P3. Stefan Miller in P2. The man Brendan McVeigh is in P3 in the 091. That is the Porsche 911. He's the highest class Porsche in the LMGT3 AM class. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 in the LMGT3 AM class. So that just is a testament to how good the BOP is here.
Absolutely. Oh, we have a mass amount of cars coming down the front straightaway there. Look at them all. They are spread out everywhere in that track. Oh, it is a beautiful sight to see. I will tell you this. So I don't think we are having many collisions, by the way. I feel like these yellows are mostly due to just little bitty off tracks. I feel like it's probably a bit sensitive in that area. I haven't really seen any collisions, any cars off of the road yet.
Well, Rose still leading this race overall. She has about a 2.2 second lead over De Bruyn. Barker behind that, 6.3 seconds back of the lead of De Bruyn, sorry, in the 025. Also in the BMW. BMW Acura is seemingly very quick here in the race, but the Porsche doesn't seem to be the quickest racing car. However, a Porsche is leading this race, which, to be honest, looking at the pace a little bit further down the field, that is being said by Jerry Chen, who started third. Remember, started third on the front row, second on the front row, excuse me, and he's now all the way down in P11.
Yeah, Chen is definitely not having a wonderful time during this race, but it looks like we have a move in LMGT3 from the number 48 BMW. He slides on the inside there. Can he make it
Big
around?
snap.
Oh, he absolutely needed to get that move done before all of that traffic behind him. You now have another hypercar coming into the next corner, and he makes that move stick. What a move, moving up in position. He is 8 seconds off the next pack, but you got to start somewhere.
You know, Vinicius Gonçalves has to first get past the first man in front of him, and then start thinking about the second one, because you cannot think about the second one while you're fighting with the driver up front. And you know, he's passed now. He can start to think how he can try and gain some more on Jan in front of him in the number 15. Meanwhile, though, George Angelidis has gone up into P4 in the Hypercar Pro class. Here we have our leader of this race. The lead has been eaten into. Traffic doing its part in this race already. 10 minutes done. Not too many collisions. Luckily, everyone is getting through cleanly for the moment. Biggest movers in the field at the moment seemingly seem to be, well, Ben Borman all the way down on P41 in the Ferrari 488P. So not too happy, I think, with that. He has only done 6 laps, and he's already in the pits. The first one into the pits. It seems like he is playing a little bit of a different strategy game here.
Could just be maybe have some damage, but you know, going into the pits right now is definitely not an ideal way to play it. Looks like we have some movements from Ross Smith here. I don't know, maybe losing some track position there. That Acura ARX 06 coming through the hairpin. Henrique getting kind of close. Let's see what Henrique is doing there in Hypercar AM. Henrique was pole position, lost position, not exactly sure how. Taking a little peek up the inside. Neto leaves the door open for just a split second, but he thinks better of it. And backs off from that position. He is running into a bit of traffic here, so we will see if he is able to push up and take a little bit of position here.
Garling, though, trying to defend his way, of course, defend his lead in the Hypercar AM class. Welcome along, all. Thank you for joining us for the 16 minutes of Portimao for the VWSC CMS. Of course, the race underway now for about 50 minutes almost. It's already been a thriller, and that's, I think, that is Garling wide. Oh. And a big snap though for Henrique. He's now up into the lead. He's gonna have to go around the outside, a difficult corner to do so. You're gonna watch out wide. You're not gonna have the best exit here. Garling, meanwhile, is gonna choose the inside on the McLaren. The McLaren, I think, has lost the lead as well in the GT3 AM class. So Miller now dropped down into P2, Pullen in the number 77 up into the lead, the 77 BMW.
Yeah, pulling away by 1.6, 1.2 seconds right now. Miller must be running into some sort of traffic, which would be highly unfortunate. And it looks just very slow coming down that straight. Definitely seems to be just unlucky with the traffic. We have a little bit of a battle going on in the GT3 class right now from Ichazo and Gutierrez in the 37 and 31 cars respectively. Two BMW, Mercedes AMG and a Bentley going at it. It looks like that traffic is slowing them down here a little bit and not really allowing them to fight, but you don't want to be fighting crazy. And Rose, what is happening here to Rose? Mia Rose currently in P2.
Oh, what has happened to her? Well, if I look at her last lap time, sector 2, 2 seconds off the pace. And well, she didn't have the gap to lose 2 seconds in one sector. And that's where that lead has gone. The Porsche, let's be honest here, William, seemingly not the best race car, to be honest. BMW's accuracy seems to be a little bit more consistent. Rose now dropping down out of the clutches from De Bruyne as well. So it seems that the Porsche is not the quickest race car around here. Of course, you saw it very early on in the race with Jerry Chen, of course, down in P14. The second quickest Porsche is all the way down in P10 for Garling. That is the leader in the AM class. So in both classes there in the hypercar class, Porsche is leading, but there was a Porsche. There were 2 Porsches leading, of course. Now the BMW from De Bruyne is leading over Mia Rose. The gap has opened up to about 8, 9 tenths of a second. However, as long as Maya can stay in the slipstream here, she's going to have a chance to try and re-overtake him, maybe at the end of the straight, or just save some fuel, because we know 1 or 2 stops is what we're going to see here. And if you can save a pit stop, that's going to save you so much time.
Oh, if you can save a pit stop, that is going to be critical. Kermo, we have a nice little battle for P2 in LMGT3. Not a massive gap between them. But here they come down the front straightaway. You have Gutierrez, Ichazo, and Gant coming down in the Mercedes and BMW cars.
This is the battle, not in class, because the man in P4, Chant, has been caught up by, or is catching up to Ichazo in front of us. That gap, about 4 tenths of a second.
Oh, and he sends it down the inside. What a terrible decision! Why? Oh no! And he absolutely roasts. That's going to 100% be a penalty. That is a huge mistake from Brandon Gant. Oh no! Brandon Gant was having a good time in this race, and that was an absolute nightmare of a decision, unfortunately. Oh.
That is just heartbreak for the LMDH. I'm trying to find out which LMDH that was. It seemed to have been, and this is going to be heartbreak for all Garling fans. He seems to be the one who was involved in that incident, the 42nd first sector. The leader in the AM class involved in an incident. Here we have him. Yellow card screen, the Porsche involved in an incident, the 05. That is Garling. And that is just a heartbreak for him.
That is a lot of time lost for literally nothing that he did. That was a very, very poor decision. Not exactly sure why you would think that that would work, but that pretty much gives Enrique in that number 8. That number 8 Acura right now just handed him the lead. At this point, it's all about Enrique just not making a mistake and staying clean for the rest of the race.
However, don't look behind. The BMW with a little bit of a power slide coming into the corner. Di Marzo is gaining on Enrique as well, the number 019 BMW. He's going to try and make that pass somewhere around this Portimao track. Where, though, is the question. He has to be closer in order for him to try and make a move. Gap 1.7 at the moment. The gap was closer coming into the beginning of Sector 2, end of Sector 1. But he had to
go on board with Sebring.
So
Sebring on Smith on the number 60, and they are coming down the front straight. We'll see if they can get an overtake done here. We'll be coming into traffic, struggling on traction, coming out of that final corner. It looks like he's just not going to be able to actually get close enough to make a move on this one, but gonna absolutely, hopefully try. And here Ross Smith, the car ahead, and in Hypercar AM we have Demoso. Looks like trying to make a move right now and is really close, sliding on the inside of our GT3 car, and that was a little too close for comfort, I would say.
He has a run though, hold on, he has a run. Barry Di Marzo has a run. He's going to pull to the outside. BMW, is it quick enough in a straight line to make that pass? Yes, it definitely is. Runs wide turn 1. So does the Acura, who's going to shoot up the inside once again at turn 3. This is difficult taking spot though. They're going to run side by side through turn 4. The BMW gets it, but the Acura is going to get a better exit because he cuts it from way wider into that turn. BMW is going to have it though. Di Marzo up at the P1 of the Hypercar AM class.
Oh, he locks up going in the corner. They both lock up going into the corner.
That was a bit deep from both, and as we know, that is going to flat spot the tires. You don't want to do that too often, because you are just going to have to visit the dentist after you're done in the 60 minutes of Portimao if you lock up too much. The ride will be tough for the cars if you lock up a lot, but that Ferrari at a very annoying moment for Felipe Enrique. And look at the gap, immediately opens up to about 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, losing a lot of time.
Di Marzo with a little bit of room now over Enrique. Meanwhile, at the front of the Hypercar field, it's De Bruyne still leading from Mia Rose. And in P3, it's Angelides. He's gone up slowly but surely. The Acuras, all three, George Angelides, Smith, and Sebring, all three working their way up the order slowly.
Oh no, and a little bump. And Ichozo is looking at sliding into position there.
Gutierrez in the Mercedes. A little bit forced out wide by the LMDX. That's going to lose in time. They're going to go side by side through the last corner. Who's going to have this? It looks like the Mercedes of Gutierrez is going to just put out in front. Here is the battle between those two coming down the front stretch. Ichezo has the slipstream. I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think he's going to have to, is going to be able to pull alongside. No, he's not. Maybe down to turn 3. The Mercedes runs a little bit wide. Doesn't defend the inside, though. Leaves the door open. He can do so. Nowhere near close enough is Luciano in the Bentley. Oh, that's a bit of a snap. That is not going to help him. Look at the gap growing out. 7, 8 tenths. Hypercars coming through as well. Traffic not really coming into play for these drivers. However, the 037 Mercedes from Johnny Gutierrez held up a little bit here. Sorry, excuse me. By the Hypercar. So we're on board now with Johnny. I don't know if you can go on board for the next lap and see how this track is, because it's just up and down. It's such a roller coaster, this track. Here we go, a blind entry into turn 11 and turn 10. Run down the hill. This seems to be a battle that is going to be on for the foreseeable future here in this class. Oh, that's very deep for Luciano. That's not the line you want to be taking through there. Coming up to the front stretch now. Is he close enough, you think, Williams, to try and make a move here?
There's going to be a little bit of a gap there. He is currently 8 tenths down. You really need to be about 3 tenths to make it feasible in these GT3 cars. You just don't have the same power with the slipstream. So Rose actually getting involved here again. She is 1.4 off of the lead, 0.1 off. She is literally on the bumper of the leader right now, going to make a move. And the leader there may be getting a bit too defensive. Here we have Ichozo and moving up on Gutierrez again, coming down that front straightaway. We'll see if he can actually get in to make a move on him, but it just seems like he is always just outside of that range to where he could actually get in.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Didn't realize I was muted. Right. I was screaming my head off. And then I looked at my Discord, and it turned out that there was a big red stripe through my mic. So, yeah, was muted for a second. Excuse me. But what I was saying was the fact that I'm looking at the lap times from Congarling, the former leader of the AM class. Of course, you saw that horrible accident out with the BMW.
That's a big snap right there.
This lap has to count. De Bruyne is into the pit lane, so I expect Maya Rose to react as soon as humanly possible. So this lap has to count. This is going to be her in lap. I don't know if we can catch De Bruyne on his outlap once he gets out of the pits to see how his outlap is. But a lot of traffic here for Maya Rose on the in lap. So maybe a good moment to go into the pit lane for Roder De Bruyne. He's been into the pit lane for quite a while now. That's fuel and tires, I think, judging by the length of that pit stop. Smith now up into P2. Here we go. Jay Chen now also up to P3. The only ones to make a pit stop is the top 5 at the moment. Walter De Bruyne on the pit stop as well.
Well, Maya's staying out. She is not going into the pits yet.
Feels that she maybe has a little bit more pace, maybe wants to be a little bit more comfortable on, well, the fuel coming into the last half an hour of this race. We're almost halfway there. We're almost halfway finished in the 60 minutes of Portimao. Of course, don't forget, guys, this league not only hosting these modern races, but also historic races with all the historic cars in it. Here we go, Ross Smith. Man now in P2 into the pit lane in the Acura. So the Acura dives into the pit lane. What is Cherry Chen going to do in the Porsche? Because that Porsche seems to be really good on fuel mileage. I don't know if you can get pictures of Cherry Chen, the number 66. We have Johnny Gutierrez in the number 037, 037. Second in the GT3 Pro class. Gutierrez, however, has a 12-second gap to Neto, which is going to be difficult to close down the pace that Neto is running at the moment. Last lap time for Neto was a 1:46.4. Last lap time for Gutierrez, I was going to say, as Gutierrez seems to be now rounding off Sector 3, was a 1:43.4, so 3 seconds quicker there. Last time round seems to be some traffic on the way for the leader in GT3 Pro class. But that's what it is, you know. This is multi-car or multi-class racing at its best. Ebbing and flowing between the classes, between the drivers. Sometimes the driver in front gets away with a little bit of traffic, has the better traffic, and sometimes the driver behind has the better traffic. That's just how it goes. And in the end, I always believe that in the end of the race, it always equals out.
Absolutely, I definitely say so myself for that. But look at how Rose is. The biggest thing we're looking for with Rose is she pulling a bigger gap from De Bruin? And right now she just pulled a second. And it looks like she's trying to stay out as long as possible to build that gap to all the cars behind her so she can overtake and get the lead through the pit stops. So we will find out when she gets into that pit if this is the right decision. Now the right decision for sure is always going to be to go long, especially on these races, because in this series it's not like Formula 1, boys and girls. It is, you do have to refuel. The less fuel you have to take, the less time you have to be inside that pit box. So if you can go long, you really would like to go long, then you can get some massive overtakes coming out of the pit box alone. So right now Mia is 94 seconds, keeping around the same gap, and here she is coming into the pits, and this is what we're gonna see here. This is where we're gonna see the race really get a decision. So you got 95 seconds. That is 1 minute and 35 seconds, and we're gonna keep an eye on this man right here, Wouter de Bruin, in the number 19 BMW M8 Hybrid, who is currently a full lap away. And let's just keep an eye on that Delta. Chen has not made a pit stop yet either, so Chen is not actually involved inside of this fight. So let's see what happens here.
We don't know, because Chen seems to, well, you know, maybe they can go long. Maybe the Porsches are able to go long, because remember, Chen is also in a Porsche. So it just seems like the Porsches in general are just able to go longer on their fuel mileage, which for the Porsches would be amazing.
As you can see, though, Chen hasn't made a pit stop yet, so Chen is going to be falling way back as soon as he makes his pit stop. So here he comes. De Bruin coming down the front straightaway. Let's see where Rose is. She is currently pulling out of the pit stops. Is she going to be able to get it done? He's coming down the front straightaway, and it does not look like going long is actually made a massive difference. Here she comes out of the pit lane, and
already P2.
No, she has lost a lot of time going long. Whether or not that was just a pace difference, the traffic that they ran into, but it just did not seem to work out for her at all.
Not at all for Maya Rose. Lost a lot of time with that. However, what I was just saying is don't count Chen out there either, because, well, Maya Rose and Bo Chen in the Porsches. The Porsches seemingly able to go long. If the other cars have to make a pit stop again, then I'm gonna try and see if maybe Chen is still involved in this. Also now into the pit lane is Chen. He's still on pit road, making his pit stop. We'll see where he's going to drop back to.
All right, so here we are. This is our current hypercar leader going on, and you have quite a few people going into the pit stops. Some more hypercar AMs going in right now, and the leader Hutchinson, it looks like, hasn't pitted. So right now, if you pull up the pit stops, you still have Smith. And who in the pits right now? And LMGT3 and the GT3s have not pit yet. Poland, it seems to be the only car that has actually completed a pit stop in LMGT3 AM. And he is on track right now. And see if he can get a little bit of an undercut going through. Everyone else still needs to pit. He's quite a ways down. 65-second gap from Poland to the leader.
That's a big gap. That's a big gap. That's not what you want to see.
But he has already completed his pit stop. So we will see how long these pit stops take for these GT3 cars. Gutierrez actually in the pits right now for LMGT3 Pro class. And we will get a quick idea of how much his pit stop is going to take. And that number 37.
Pit stops seem to be
a little glitchy.
Yes.
All right, so you have Neto pulling into the pits right now. So here we go. Neto in the pits, and he is actually taking his pit stop. So this is where we're going to see that time. Let's see how long this time takes. Neto seemingly maybe having a penalty. I'm not exactly sure what that second line is. So let's just see how long that Ichazo and Neto take in those pit stops.
Yeah. Well, you might want to take a look at the Discord, because I'm not seeing any live pictures anymore. So for me, it's going to be difficult to commentate on the action at the moment. What I can see is my timing screen, so I can tell you a bit about what is happening on track. Wouter de Bruin is at the moment in first of the Hypercar Pro class. There we go. We have live pictures again here in the Netherlands. Hypercar AM class is led by Mutchison, who I think has already made his pit stop. So he's come into that class out of nowhere, to be honest. Didn't see him at all at the beginning of the race in the AM class. But it just seems like other drivers are spending a long time in pit lane.
Whether it's damage or just taking a lot of tires and fuel, I'm not exactly sure, but those pit stops are definitely taking quite a long time. You go ahead and take a look at the number of stops here. We still have 3 more cars in LMGT3 to pit, and that's definitely going to shake up.
Yeah, that's going to shake up the field a bit.
Yes, definitely going to shake up the field quite a bit. So if we look at Rose, she is just dropping like flies. I'm wondering if she focused maybe a bit too much on that qualifying pace and not enough on the race. Barker actually looking to make some moves. Oh, here we go. Cameron Barker on the bumper of Graf right now, coming down the front straight. He is right on that rear end, taking the inside. Graf going a little bit wide on the exit, and I don't think that's going to be very good for him coming down the straight line. Cameron Barker a little hesitant on the throttle coming around that last corner, even with all of that downforce, but he is flying down that front straightaway. And let's see if he can get that move done. It looks like he just lifts off the throttle and seems to be quite content with just hanging out right now, not super eager to make that move.
No, maybe saving a bit of fuel as well in the BMW, or maybe just knowing that Graf ahead of him has the pace to catch up to the guy in front. It seems like Barker, oh, that was not, he got up close to Graf, so close. Seems like people are in pit lane for a very long time. I can see that people are still out, that people are already out of pit lane. So I don't know what the timing tower is saying on the left-hand side, but I think it's better to ignore it because I don't think that our man in P2 and P3 have been into the pit lane for 10 minutes and 30 minutes respectively.
Could be
timing software, I think, bugging out a little bit, tricking us into thinking that they are already in the pit lane for 11 minutes almost, but I don't think they have that big of a gap at the front of the class. However, in the hypercar class, it seems like Rose has found a little bit of pace. Gap has come down about 4 seconds the last lap. If we look at their lap times, last lap time for Wouter de Bruin, a 1:33.074. Last lap time from Maya Rose, a 1:32.46. So both improving and improving and improving, still not up though to the 1:28.696 we saw in qualifying. That lap time really mighty quick. Like I said, it's going to be difficult to do that here in the race.
No, absolutely. And as you can see, the field getting quite spread out. Looks like we have the number 67 in LMGT3 right now going into the pits finally, and Neto retakes that lead. It looks like we are settling down here in LMGT3 again. We have McVeigh in the number 91 LMGT3 AM out on the track. Looks like about 15 seconds to the leader, so that is going to be quite a ways to make up that. So pulling with the a nice lead heading into the latter third of this race along with Neto, and the leader is not too much to worry about if they can just keep it clean. But Brandon McVeigh going really wide through that corner, and
Wow.
yeah, very wide.
Well, he doesn't want to be pushing his luck that much. His lead at the moment for pulling quite a big gap. I can see the gap here on my timing screen. And the timing screen says that Mr. McVeigh is, well, about, what, 10 seconds back on Greg Pullen in 27th. There's a car in between them. Johnny Gutierrez, of course, in the Mercedes is in between these drivers. So about 10 seconds is the gap between the two at the front. He's not in the pit lane. That's just the timing tower doing stuff that the timing tower is not supposed to do. There you can see, if you want to get involved yourself with this championship, you can always go to cmsracing.com. You'll find all the information there about how to take part as well. 20 minutes left here of the 60 minutes of Portimao. What a race it has been in the first 40 minutes. One of the highlights, of course, the collision between one of the BMWs and Kun Carling, the leader in the Hypercar AM class at the time. Kundo working his way up, back up into P3 in the Hypercar AM class. And of course, Maya Rose during the pit stop phase, losing about, what, 6-7 seconds on De Bruyne. Of course,
yeah, she lost about 4 seconds, and then just has completely lost her pace and has not been able to get back up. A very large spread here from Hypercar. Not really anybody really close to get anything done. As you see, Benke in Hypercar AM right now is just miles away from. Oh no! And then we have a collision right there from the Ferrari.
Together with the Lamborghini. Oh, who's at fault there? A difficult corner to go through side by side, William. As you see the Acura on the right-hand side now overtaken as well. And is that Garling? No, it's not. Garling was already up into P3 in the 05. Here we go. There's Garling in the yellow liveried car. That is a car that you can easily recognize, of course. I said it earlier on. A new best lap time by Neto, a 1:41. Last time round for Neto. For him, the lap time was, let me try and find him. A lot of drivers here on my driving sheet. His lap time was a 1:46, it says, which I don't think is correct, because I just saw a 1:41. So different timing screens telling different things, which is always great to have.
So here we go right now with the lap times. The best lap time for Mia Rose is a 1:31.1, and she is actually down there in the 1:32.5s. Not good enough to make up time on our class leader in Hypercar right now.
.5 minutes to go. And it doesn't seem like the lead for De Bruyne is going anywhere. However, De Bruyne, we don't know. He pitted with about 25 minutes done in the race. So with about 35 minutes to go, if he has to do it again, he's going to have to stop in about 7 minutes time. That's a bit deep from De Bruyne. So Danny will have to stop once again in about 7 minutes time. And if he has to do so, that lead will automatically go to Maya Rose. The question is though, Maya Rose just posted a personal best lap time. Quickest lap time so far here this race, a 1:31.197. And you can guess, William, by who that race lap time was set.
No, absolutely. She is trying to get that lap time up. And if you look at our Hypercar series, like I said, a pretty big gap. It's she gained about 2 seconds on the _1 car right now. She looks like getting a bit more comfortable with her pace. It does look like a lot of battles going on right now. She really is just trying to get back up to De Bruin, but it might be a little bit too late in order to get that done. So if we go ahead and pull up our Hypercar AM. And let's go ahead and check our Hypercar AM leader trackside with just a massive gap. We really thought Hypercar AM was going to be way closer, but it just turns out that I guess some stuff. So after a few incidents and a couple of pace things, they are absolutely wildly spread out in the Hypercar AM class. If we take a look at our GT3 class, you can see that the leader has about a 4-second lead, and everyone is fairly spread out with these guys. Also, Neto running a very good race so far, keeping it clean, keeping it consistent, and keeping it on track. Just trying to keep that car moving in order to win this round 2 and bring home those sweet, sweet, juicy points. Going down into LMGT3 AM right now, if we go trackside with Craig Pullen, who is the current leader in the BMW M4 GT3 for Reptile Racing, has quite a lead over here on the rest of the pack. He's currently leads by at least, well, if we pull up Brandon Vay, 8-second lead to the car behind right now, and not much going on. And it just seems like these leaders consistency is really key here.
Being consistent is everything in endurance racing. You know what they say, William, you can be quick over one lap, but how quick you are doesn't matter or one bit in endurance racing. It does matter, however, how consistent you can be to your quickest lap. So if you at the start of your stint take 2-3 tenths out of your lap time, but you can keep doing that lap time for the rest of the stint, while the guy at the front does 3 tenths quicker for the first 3 laps, gains about a second on you, but can't run that pace, but can't run anywhere near close that pace in the rest of his stint, you're effectively gonna have a net gain. So it's just how you preserve the tires, how you preserve the car, the fuel. There's more about just raw pace in endurance racing there's more than only raw pace in endurance racing, excuse me.
Absolutely, you just need to be consistent and nail those laps every single time. The last, you know, you have to go into the pits for any sort of damage, and that is going to be the end of your race. So we're on board here with Neto and just having him run a few laps, and I do love the sound of that Bentley Continental GT3 car. It is a beautiful noise. Go over down to Craig Pullen in that BMW M4 GT3. He seems pretty calm, almost like he is on a Sunday drive at this point, coming through. Not really being challenged, just taking it easy, coming through into turn 1.
Yeah, well, Craig Pullen has about, if I look at McVie, that gap the last time I looked was, well, what, about 10 seconds. The gap still seems to be about 10 seconds not to pull in.
9.9 seconds to pull in right now. It looks like McVeigh has actually dropped down to P3, who was up in P2. Not sure what happened there. If we go ahead to our leader in overall class, we have Ruben Brun and the number 19 BMW M Hybrid V8, and he is just on cruise control right now, moving through this pack, getting through everyone pretty easily and making sure not making any mistakes and just keeping that gap right around 7 to 10 seconds for Rose. And like I said, not sure what happened to Rose, but it's very unfortunate for her to, you know, just after having such a good qualifying, she was a second faster than everybody else, and to just fall back and make those mistakes are highly unfortunate.
Well, to just give you an indication of how quick De Bruyne and Rose are at the front of the field, at the moment they've lapped everyone up until P4. Cameron Barker is also into the pit lane now, so they're gonna lap him as well. Of course, Barker into the pit lane for his second time in the BMW. So listen closely here to what I just said. Barker in the BMW into pit lane. Wouter De Bruyne, you can see it on screen, he's also in the BMW. If Barker's gone into the pit lane, he was the first one to go into the pit lane last time round as well. If De Bruyne can't finish this race, we could well see a very dominant victory here from Maya Rose, because that Porsche was able to go, well, beyond the half-an-hour mark. So she should be able to get to the finish line with only one pit stop, which, like I said, is going to save you loads and loads and loads of time. Here you see our class leaders, De Bruyne leading the Hypercar Pro class. In the Hypercar AM class, it's McCutcheon in the LMGT3 Pro. It's Neto leading the way, and in the LMGT3 AM, it's Greg Pullen leading the way there. 6.3 seconds in the AM class. In the GT3 AM class, 7.5 seconds in the GT3 Pro class. In the Hypercar AM class, I have to look on my timing screen because it seems like the timing software is a little bit bugged out. That's DiMarzo in that car. Mia Rose, meanwhile, cutting her way through the traffic. DiMarzo, however, if we look at it to McCutcheon, he's about, well, 14-15 seconds back from Hutchison. Then in the Hypercar class, it's about 6.1 seconds, but we don't know yet, William, if, well, De Bruyne is going to have to make a pit stop here. If you go off Barker, who had to make a pit stop because he was out of fuel, I think that De Bruyne, by that means, has to make a pit stop as well.
Could be a possibility if he did have to, but it seems like, well, actually, Brun right now is in the pits at the current moment. If you
there we go.
Right now.
I said it.
So that might be a BOP change for sure if the if that V8 is just eating up too much fuel. 4 more cylinders in the Porsche. The Porsche is only a 4-cylinder turbo, so not a lot of fuel that thing is using. Same horsepower, but we'll see if Rose can hold on to that position now. 8 minutes left. About 4 or 5 more laps to go.
Well, lap times here of about 1 minute 33, 1 minute 32 in the race for the Hypercars, which is very quick. Rose and De Bruyne both fighting it out for the lead here, but if Rose can just keep her cool and try to save fuel, which is what she needs to do, all she needs to do, she doesn't have to worry about pace now. She has about 43 seconds back to De Bruyne. De Bruyne is never going to catch that up in terms of pace. He would need to gain about 5-6 seconds a lap in order for him to still get close enough, if not more. So I don't think it's going to be possible for De Bruyne to catch her on pace. So just worry about fuel. Worry about fuel. That's all she needs to do now.
GT3 and we have some stuff going on here. Looks like Lemos is actually up on Poland's bumper. I wonder if they made a fuel mistake here or something, but right now he is right there getting close to that backside, and we do have a fight, and we will keep you on this fight probably until the end of the race unless something else happens. But right now Luis Lemos and that Bentley Continental G3 in AM class is really trying to get into that P1 position, and we'll see if they can make that happen here today.
Oh, that's a big dive from the Acura, way too late on the brakes. And well, that results in an off-track. Both are side by side. This seems to be Angelina and Barker who are side by side. No, Smith and Angelina, sorry. Angelina's dropping down a position. Smith up into 4th in the Hypercar Pro class. In the 0-0. Both Acuras fighting it out there. But it seems like a little bit further back, Chen and Wayne Hutchison. So the leader in the AM class and the 6th place man in the Pro class are, well, together on track. But both in Porsches and both assumedly able to go to the end of this race. It's going to be lost.
Yes, them going into the end of the race is definitely going to be important, but it looks like Lemos actually takes the lead of GT3AM after Poland was just crushing it in the GT3AM. Poland is Lemos is pulling quite the gap right here down the straight, and we'll see if in the GT3AM race if Lemos can hold it together for the next 5 minutes and keep that
Where's
lead.
The pace going for Poland though? Where has that pace gone? He had about a 6-second gap coming into the last 10 minutes. That has been closed down by Lemos by, well, in about 5 minutes.
It seems to me he might be a little low on fuel here. He is dropping a mass amount of pace. You can see from his throttle, he is not really lifting and coasting into the corners. It could be an issue with tires, but we'll see if he's able to make it. Right now, Rose is crushing it in the lead, 46 seconds ahead of De Bruin with 4 minutes left to go in the race. De Bruin still in P2. So even after that second pit stop, still up in the higher portions of the race, which is a little bit surprising with these Porsches.
Angelides and Hutchison still together on track as well. The number 038 and the number 60.
And Poland has absolutely lost all of his pace, and now at this point, you can't even see, you can barely see Lemos in the distance, and
wow.
Oh, he has no grip in the front of that car. That thing does not want to turn at all for him, losing another couple of tenths coming into that straightaway. It looks like Lemos might be pulling away with this.
Yeah, well, do I see it correct if I see he's racing for Reptile Racing?
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great team name. Rose, meanwhile, racing in the Porsche 963.
Huh?
A great car this is, and realize I love the sound of it. Always been a little bit of a Porsche fanboy, I have to say. And, well, you know, everything that comes from Stuttgart stays in Stuttgart. So I don't think anyone is going to be able to replicate the car in the way that Porsche has done. The car seems to be quick, seems to be reliable. And, well, Maya Rose doing everything in that car she needs to do. Actually increasing the gap to De Bruin behind. But please don't take any risk through the traffic. The Glickenhaus in the way as well. That is, I think, one of the Hypercar AM class drivers.
Yeah, Poland absolutely losing in LMGT3 AM. It's now 5 seconds behind Lemos, so he is definitely losing the pace right there. Rose continuing to just keep her pace steady. Doesn't look to be like she is saving any fuel or lifting and coasting, really. She is driving what seems to be pretty normally. Moving on to Hutchinson, our other leader in the Hypercar AM class. See how he is doing. Trackside coming in through turn... Which turn? The final corner right now, leading the pack, making quite a few moves. Not many battles going on the track right now. We might have one brewing for 4th and 5th in LMGT3 AM, but other than that, not a lot happening. We have Stuart Barge here. Looks like he's trying to get ahead of Miller in that 4-2-4 car. And we'll see if this battle produces anything. You can hear the raw sound of that Acura NSX GT3 car.
Beautiful sounding car, that Acura. I do think with Maya Rose in this, well, in the 3rd sector at the moment, we are just almost going to enter the last lap of this race.
And
next
here he
time
comes with
down.
that NXS. Is he going to make a move down the inside?
Oh, there's contact between the two.
It looks like it closes up just a little bit there, but that's going to be the fight that we have for the race. Not a lot of fights. He is 2/10 coming, and he is on that rear bumper of Miller.
Well, last lap of the race now. Maya Rose has just entered that. And she's going to be looking, so not pitting anymore. She's going to be looking to complete this race with only one pit stop. So is Jerry Chan. I said it to you, don't count him out. However, not in the top 2 where he started, but fuel saving from the beginning. And he's doing an incredible job in P6 in the number 66 Porsche. Like I said, don't count him out. I said it, and you didn't believe me. You didn't want to believe me, but I said it. Jerry Chan, very quick whilst fuel saving, so up into the top 6. And the Porsche seemingly very economically friendly with the amount of mileage they can get on a tank of fuel. However, they are now going to enter the last lap as well. Stuart Barge is now going to have his last shot. Meanwhile, Maya Rose is in the last sector. I don't know if we can pick up pictures from the leader. The leader in the Hypercar AM class and the Pro class. Here we go, rounding off the final corner. Maya Rose done everything correctly here this evening. Fuel saving, tire saving, looking after the car, and she's going to go through to take the victory in the Hypercar Pro class across the line. Beautiful drive by Maya Rose. Hutchinson in the Hypercar AM class as well. Very, very, very well driven. Here, meanwhile, the battle between the McLaren and the Acura, between Miller and Barge. Barge has the inside.
Absolutely just running and ramming into each other on this final lap for that fourth position, and they are squeezing each other. They do not care right now. This is the last lap for them, and this is the battle that we want to see. There was a little battles early on, and this is the only one left. Can Barge get back up into that position? He did sneak in and take it, but Miller said, no, not today. I am coming back for that position.
Well, that was it then. Also across the line has come the winner of the Hypercar AM class. Hutchinson wins the AM class in LMGT3 Pro. It is Neto who's come across the line as well. He is in the last sector, so I don't know if you can get pictures of Neto.
Oh boy, and what is a big collision here at the end? They're all off track. What is happening? Oh no! Barge is in the grass coming across the line, but it seems finished. So here we go with the current race results. That was our last few cars across the track. So if we go into the race results here in the Hypercar series. Wow, what a crazy race. So we have Mia Rose leading the way, who started in pole position, who we got a little worried about coming through, but she does take the victory. So you got Mia Rose and Walter de Bruin for the Team Rookie Monsters in the BMW Hired in P2, and then Cameron Barker in P3. 3. Ross Smith, George, Jerry, Magnus, Alexander, Eric, and Brian round out the rest of the top 10. Norm, Adrian, Ben, and Timian put us from 11 to P14. If we go into the Hypercar AM session results here, we have Wayne Hutchinson, another Porsche 963, winning the race. Barry DeMorzo in that BMW M Hybrid V8, having to make 2 stops, a lap down from the leaders, is here in P2. And then Cohen in the Porsche 963 in P3, and then was that Gulhermi Benke and Felipe Enrique in the Acura, and Glickenhaus SCG finishing out the top 6. Moving on to LMGT3. Eliseo Neto leading the race pretty much the entire way, I believe, and taking that victory, where have Luciano Ichazo in P2 and Brandon Gant in P3. And then LMGT3 AM, Luis Lemos coming in and taking that victory and snatching it from Craig Pullen here in the late sections of the race, and they closed.
May I welcome?
Hello.
Well, tell us, how was your race? Of course, saving fuel, I think, the whole race through. Not worrying about the pace too much, I think, but just generally thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah, I did the Thursday race in the GT class, and I sort of learnt from Daniel during that race that he was saving fuel the entire way and won by 40 seconds. So I sort of used that learning going into this one, and somehow out of sheer luck, got the track record here for this car. So that's pretty nice in quality. And then the race was just, I didn't really care about the rookie Monsters car in second. When he got ahead of me, I was like, oh, I'll just use him as draft, save fuel, do whatever. And then I started to realize that it'd be going a lap or two longer than what I was expecting. So bit of panic stations, but finished the race with 3 liters left. So it was all perfect.
Yeah.
Well, so with
Well,
that Porsche, do you expect that to be BOP'd at all moving on? Because it seems a little bit overpowered for the Porsche to be able to take these races a whole hour. And is it realistic for these BMWs to even compete with the Porsches right now?
I'm going to say this. I don't think we can call BOP on fuel just yet, because I think it's only been Kirby and me who have fuel saved, and we've both made it one stop. I don't think the rookie Monsters car was fuel saving, so he was probably going flat out. if that's the case and everyone else starts fuel saving, so be it. We've started a trend. But I think probably once everyone starts fuel saving and every single hypercar has tried to fuel save a 60-minute races, then we can decide on what BOP is going to be.
All right, absolutely. Well, congratulations on that race. We were worried about you for a little bit. We were concerned, but seeing you bring that car home in P1 is a great sight to see. And thankfully, the traffic wasn't too terrible. Was the traffic bad out there, or did it seem okay? Everyone pretty conscientious.
It was pretty good. There were a couple little moments here and there with the GT cars, and a couple of moments with the hypercars, but I didn't really matter. I was saving fuel. It sort of helped me at the end. So.
Oh, absolutely. Any other questions, Dan, for Mia Rose, our round 2 winner for the VWSC Virtual World Sports Car Championship? What a mouthful. Here we go.
No, I think you asked it all. All in all, I think for me, it was an incredible race. Just the car was good for him, and in the end, I think fuel mileage was the key.
Absolutely, definitely seemed like that so far. Thank you for coming into the booth, and good luck in round 3.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be pulling in our race winners from all the classes. Give us just one moment to get everyone else in here.
Booth winner of the LMGT3 Pro Class. Welcome.
Hello, William. Hello, Dean. I think it's Dean. I don't know if it's like it that say your name. So
Yes.
thank you.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Okay, no worry. I'm so pleased to have a grant and organization like CMS. I'm racing there since the last year, so I started to race in Le Mans without points. And right now, I think after their organization and how it works, it's very good. So I want to thank so much George Angelides and all the managers of the league, and even the commentators from the Saturday, William and Dan. Thank you so much for the great voice during the race. And I went to talk thank too much about my team, the Visceral Sports, and all my family that was watching the live stream during the race. So I hope those one were a great race for me because I never expected to be so fast in the Saturday, since the guys in Saturday are a bit more competitive. So I'm very surprised to be in that conditions. So let's go and see how will be the next race. I think it's that. Do you have any question, guys?
Yeah, well,
How did the car feel out there? Which car were you driving? Were you driving the
The Botley, mate.
Yes, the Bentley,
The
right?
bot.
So how did that car feel with the front engine displacement on that one?
Well, I think I already raced in North Life with Porsche, Audi, and Bentley and McLaren. If you want to compare a if-air car with a mid-engine car, it's very different because in a mid-engine car, in the antique physics, it was like having more substantial tire wear in the rear of rear tires. So with a front rear car, I can manage better the tire because you have understeer. So for tracks like Daytona, Le Mans, it's so great to have Bentley. So it's kind of difficult, mainly when you have in turns like that depends a bit more of oversteer to make the car a bit on the turn, like the hairpin. I was losing like so much for the BMW M4 that also is a bit more oversteer car, even if it had the front engine. So for me, main difficult what was about the hairpin and the last turn. That was very compromising, mainly in the last turn because of the grip. So I don't know the modded cars, but at the last the Studio 397, you needed to manage so much on the inside curve of the last turn. So and the third day I was using byte less of traction control in this car, the Bentley. So today I use it a bit more to have a better tire consumption. So I saw during some practice yesterday that if I gonna with a bit more of traction control, I could manage better the tires and don't drop it too much the times compared with the last TC. So I used this to make the stint a bit more constant. So I gonna like compared to the Thursday racing laps, like through 2 3 tenths per lap compared with the Thursday. So even with the Luciano Chasso and Johnny Gutierrez that were going racing so great, I think they were racing so great. Even the Brandon was racing great until I think a crash with Hypercar or something similar to it. So it was a fun race at least for me. It's like a roller coaster. These tracks. It's one of my favorites. So I like to match the race.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you had a wonderful race and glad that you were able to keep it on track and incident free. I think was the biggest thing in saving fuel. So we're glad to see you in what we got. One more month or a couple weeks for the next
Yeah,
round 3, and we'll definitely
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
definitely see you out there.
Yeah. You can expect it. Let's go, mate. Thank you. Bye bye,
Absolutely. Good
William.
job on the race. Congratulations on your victory, and hopefully that Bentley keeps treating you right all season.
Yeah, hope it with the new physics.
Any questions, Dan?
No, I think that was all for Eliseo. So I'm gonna leave him to go and party with the dream. Don't get drunk too much. Of course, we know it's weekend, but don't get drunk too much with the victory. But go and enjoy it, and well, an amazing drive.
Today, in my city, the cinema tickets are like $2. The pricing. They usually it's like $20. So I will
Oh,
take those today and the next 2 days with this price to just watch the max of movies as possible. So probably Avatar into the night. So thank you and hope everyone have a fun weekend. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
bye bye. Well, that was Eliseo Neto. We'll now try again. Luis Lemos, of course, our GT3 winner. Very well driven. Tell us how was your race in general?
My race, I was thinking about the recovery strategy because I had a drive-through penalty and I have some troubles in the qualifying. So I I was just driving constantly with a good pace and I was not looking at the positions at all. I just knew that I won the race when I exit the track. Apart from that, the race was very chill. I didn't have any trouble at all. So sorry if my interview is a little embarrassed. It's because it's my first interview. I hope it's
You're
one
doing
of
well. You're
many.
doing well.
And thank you guys for this opportunity to race in this league. We have some very good people around here. It's a very fun championship.
Yeah, definitely. Well, talking about your first interview, you're doing amazing. Hopefully, we're going to see you more times this season because that means that you're on the top step of the podium. How was your race in general? Did you have to worry about tires, fuel? Because it seemed like at the end, um, for some people, the tires were going off a cliff.
My tires, they are in. How can I say? Sorry, the English is not my first language. I didn't have any trouble with the tires, but Bentley is a very good car. So like I said, I just had trouble with the qualifying, and sometimes I laugh because I have some friends over. Stay they talked all over my ear in along the race, but I could concentrate. So yeah.
So next time when you can concentrate, we're expecting about a 30-second win.
Well, let's see.
All right, man. Thank you for taking the time, and congratulations on your victory, and go and party with your friends.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Luis Lemos, also winner in the GT3 AM class. Then we'll pull in the man also in the Porsche, Wayne Hutchison. Welcome into the booth.
Good afternoon, guys.
Well, tell us, Wayne, also in the Porsche, of course, we saw for Maya that it was an incredible car in terms of fuel mileage. How was it for you?
Yeah, I used a little bit different strategy than Maya. I'm not nearly as fast, so I just basically turned up the power, full power for the whole race. So I stopped twice for fuel, but was able to manage the tires and get through the race on one set of softs without any trouble, and that gave me more than enough advantage in the pit stops to stay ahead of the AM pack.
Yeah, well, fuel mileage, were they because I'm completely new to these RF2 mods. Were they different fuel consumption strategies in terms of engine mode that you could use? Is that maybe the difference?
Yeah, sure. I think they're in the Porsche. I think there's at least 5 different fuel maps, and I was running basically the qualifying map the whole race. So Maya must have been running something a little leaner to stretch it out to the full 30 minutes on one tank like that. But yeah, so it's a big difference. It can be as much as a liter a lap at this track with from the lowest mode to the highest. So yeah, I just didn't think I would have the ability to stretch the fuel far enough from what I saw in practice. So I decided to go as fast as I could and take it from there.
Yeah, well, he kept you honest, of course, for the lead of the Hypercar AM class. Are you looking maybe at the end of the season? Of course, we know it's a long time away, a very long season, this, but are you looking maybe at the end of the season to get promoted into the pro class?
That's possible. I mean, the difficulty I have is I don't really have the one lap speed that a lot of these guys have. So qualifying is always a little rough, and you'll see in the fast laps of today's race, I think I was 17th or something like that. I just tend to make up for it with being consistent in the race and not getting in trouble. So I'll probably end up staying in AM, after this season. But we'll see. I mean, if I end up doing well in the championship, I may get forced up into pro. This is first win of the season. I had the win at Daytona locked up until the engine blew up with a couple laps to go in the rain. So, who knows?
Well, from an engine blow up at Daytona to a victory at this circuit, an incredible evening. All in all, Portimao was nice for you, and at least the car kept. You kept the car in one piece this time.
Yeah, that was a blessing for sure. I kind of figured it would, being a much shorter race than Daytona, so I didn't feel too worried about running full power the whole race. Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, there was a lot of challenge with traffic, especially early in the race. It was very busy. I think at one point, Barry DiMarzo in the BMW, he got through the traffic better than I did, and he was gone. But he must have had a different pit strategy or had an issue somewhere, because I ended up just beating him. So yeah, but it was, I don't think there was a lap in the race where there wasn't a lot of traffic. It was very busy the whole time, so you had to be really concentrating and lucky sometimes. But it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to the next race.
Yeah, well, Wayne, thank you for jumping into the booth. It's been amazing to go around the track in that Porsche 963. And thank you for your time, and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
Well, that was everyone, every winner from every class in the booth with us here this evening. William, give us 3 words to sum up this evening.
Fuel. I think that's going to be the thing for pretty much every season, is just getting that fuel dialed in and figuring out, you know, where, you know, what cars are going to be the best. Right now, it seems that the Porsche is a bit easier on fuel saving, and I guess we'll find out if the BMW is going to have that same ability and see if there's going to be any BOP going on. But until then, we shall have to wait till next round to find out.
Yeah, well, we're going to thank you all for watching. It's been amazing to have you all around here. Thank you to Siemens, of course, and thank you to William, of course, and the JPB broadcasting team for an incredible evening of racing. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes, of course, making this possible, and the drivers for being out on track. Usually, William, you would say the marshals as well, but I guess here in the game, the marshals really don't do a lot.
Yeah, so we will see what's going on with that, but you know, overall, no one lagged out of the game. Everything seemed to run pretty smooth, so I would say a very successful event.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for watching, and we're going to see you next time. Bye-bye.